In a damning development, a top aide to the Speaker of the Iranian Parliament has just announced that Argentina's Rafael Grossi, the disgraced chief of International Atomic Energy Agency or the IAEA, is not welcome in Iran. The person issuing this threat to Grossi is not an ordinary individual. His name is Amir Ebrahim Rasouli, whose official title describes him as the advisor to the Speaker of the Iranian Parliament. It was Iranian Parliament which had first voted unanimously to cut off ties with the IAEA. In the 223-member parliament, 221 members had voted in favor of breaking the country's cooperation with the IAEA, while there was not a single vote against. The language used by Rasouli is even harsher. He told Lebanon's Al Mayadeen TV that Grossi would never be allowed to set foot in Iran. These are his words. He said, and I quote, Iran will not permit Grossi to set foot on its soil again. End quote. Rasouli also issued a stern warning to Tehran's enemies, urging them to stop using the language of threats. What's more, he said that Iran possesses weapons that will surprise the aggressors and that the country was fully prepared to respond immediately to any provocation. In his words, and I quote, we are in our best condition, and if the enemy makes a foolish move, we are ready to teach them a harsh lesson from the first moment. End quote. His comments on Rafael Grossi is massive. That's because Grossi has been desperately trying to reach out to the Iranian foreign minister, requesting him to allow him entry. He even made a telephone call to Sayyid Abbas Araghchi, the foreign minister, but only to be told the blunt truth about the dubious role played by the IAEA under Grossi's leadership. The aide to the parliament speaker also said something that Iranians have been saying off the record, that Grossi played a direct role in passing sensitive information on the Iranian nuclear facilities and scientists associated with the country's nuclear program to Israel. Rasouli said, and I quote, Grossi has betrayed the agency's trust by sharing sensitive data, including the names of our nuclear scientists, with the Zionist entity. End quote. Rasouli's latest comments shouldn't surprise anyone who has been following Iranian politics. His boss, the Iranian parliament speaker, Mohammad Bagher Kalibaf, had said in no uncertain terms that his country would have nothing to do with the IAEA. Watch this clip from the Iranian parliament over a week ago when the speaker made a fiery speech amidst the chants of Allahu Akbar, which translates as God is great.
ما در مجلس شورای اسلامی به دنبال تصویب طرحی هستیم که همکاری‌های ایران با آژانس را تا زمانی که تضمین‌های عینی از رفتار حرفه‌ای این سازمان بین‌المللی نداشته باشیم متوقف کند. الله اکبر، الله اکبر، الله اکبر. مطابق با فتوای شرعی رهبر حکیم انقلاب، ایران برای فعالیت‌های غیر صلح‌آمیز هیچ برنامه‌ای ندارد، اما دنیا به وضوح مشاهده کرد که آژانس انرژی اتمی به هیچ کدام از تعهدات خود عمل نکرده و تبدیل به یک ابزار سیاسی شده است.
Remember, Israel had successfully assassinated a series of Iranian nuclear scientists on the very first night of its illegal attack on Tehran. According to some reports, Israeli terrorists killed as many as 14 top Iranian scientists during the illegal attack on Iran.
Breaking news out of Iran, where the country's defense ministry has just confirmed that one of Iran's top nuclear scientists is dead, apparently assassinated.
Experts were quick to hold the IAEA and its Argentinian chief Grossi responsible for collaborating with the Israeli spy agency Mossad to have Iranian scientists and generals killed. This was former weapons inspector Scott Ritter.
Iran, which is a signatory to the NPT, has every right under Article 4 to have a nuclear enrichment program. And one has to wonder why Rafael Grossi and his colleagues in the IAEA are meeting with Israel, which has an illegal, undeclared nuclear weapons program, is not a signatory to the NPT. There's no reason that can be articulated rationally that explains this other than Grossi has been working with Israel to pass intelligence to Israel and the United States about Iran's nuclear programs, intelligence that was used to target locations on the ground and to assassinate Iranian nuclear scientists, to murder Iranian nuclear scientists. So Grossi has the blood of Iran's nuclear scientists on his hands. I don't see how he could ever be allowed back into Iran, nor any inspection effort led by him. He must be replaced and a new inspection regime created, one that has adequate safeguards put on it to ensure that whatever data Iran shares with the IAEA is not passed on to nations hostile to Iran.
Grossi disgraced and exposed himself and his organization further by first writing a dubious assessment report about Iran's nuclear capabilities and then refusing to condemn Israel and the US for attacking nuclear facilities, something which is illegal under international law. What exposed him even further was his subsequent conduct. In the immediate aftermath of the illegal attacks on Iran and its nuclear facilities, Grossi spent all his energy in demanding that he be allowed to enter Iran urgently.
I have indicated to the respective authorities my readiness to travel at the earliest to assess the situation and ensure safety, security, and non-proliferation in Iran.
And when that didn't work, he even went to the extent of diminishing the role of a country's parliament. He said it on record that the law passed by a sovereign country's parliament was meaningless in front of an international treaty.
Iran, and I think nobody has put that in question, and I hope nobody will, is a party to the Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons, like more than 190 countries in the world.
Right.
So that implies that they have to work with the agency. So we have been going through this law that they have, that the Majlis approved, and we see that they are talking about cooperation on the basis of the security and the safety of their sites. I think that is not incompatible with the inspection work that needs to take place. But of course, it's not Rafael Grossi and Margaret Brennan discussing this that we are going to solve it. I think I have to sit down with Iran and look into it.
They're not kicking out your inspectors at this point.
Not in this sense. I would not say that I am looking with interest and with some concern what they have approved, but of course, is their law, is their parliament, but here there are legal implications. An international treaty, of course, takes precedence. You cannot invoke an internal law not to abide with an international treaty.
And he is the same guy who has had no problem in Israel not being a signatory to the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty or the NPT and never allowing IAEA inspectors and access to his nuclear program or stockpile. This is where Grossi's game was up. And even Iranians, who in my view have been foolish all along in trusting this rogue organization, realized that they couldn't possibly let Grossi inflict more harm on the interest of the Islamic Republic. As I said earlier, what would be a killer blow to Grossi and his masters in the US and Israel is if Iran formally withdraws from the NPT. Experts say that with the IAEA removing all its inspectors from Iran and Tehran embarking on a journey of nuclear ambiguity, it will be a real challenge for both Israel and the US to carry out effective snooping in the Islamic Republic in the absence of their eyes and ears. In other words, the IAEA inspectors. That's it from me. Thank you very much for your support of this platform and our journalism on buymeacoffee.com and Patreon. If you too think that our journalism is worth supporting, then you too should consider becoming part of it. Details are there in the description of this video. In the meantime, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so, because that's one of the many ways you can support independent journalism. God bless you all.